Hello and welcome to Benno and Hamflett in your house, a podcast reviewing WWF's iconic New Generation B-shows in order from the bus to back to the boom. I'm Benno.
And I'm Hamflett. And
we'll just go over there.
You know what? What we could do on this edition of Housekeeping is, if it wasn't going to be indulgent enough over the next 3 hours, maybe this is going to be a Conrad one, is we could avoid talking about how this is like our fifth attempt to get this podcast on the ground. People will notice if they're watching the video version that it's not the usual studio background here. Benno is not going to have the usual background, and more on that later on as to why that might be. But it's okay now. I feel like that was the second icebreaker we needed after all those false starts, wasn't it? We're massively on our travels, Benno. We're not in our houses. That's the point of this. We're very much not in our houses.
And say it quietly, we're in our 40s. What I like about the fact that we're not in our houses, by the way, like, this is mind-blowing to me. It's the most stupid thing ever. But it's like, I can see your window and it's light, and you can see my window and it's dark. What a fucking world. Like, it's crazy. Big place, in it, the world. You learn different things. Massive.
It's nice, though, because like, knowing me and you and how long we go on with each other, that'll have flipped by the time we finish recording. Like, it'll have gone dark on my side, and it'll be like, there'll be so much some Shawn Michaels to discuss that it's gone light in Thailand.
I can feel it, but no, we're doing good. We're, like I say, we've got basically, between the two of us, we've got a nice working internet connection. But that's it. Modern podcaster problems. We're professionals, mate. We'll get to it.
This is it. I mean, you say that, but this is not going to be the episode to really exhibit that, is it? We'd agreed, I can't remember when exactly on one of our various misadventures, but we'd agreed that there was a little gap in the calendar for housekeeping to like slightly divert from our usual plan. But we'll save that. Well, got a bit of retention strategy, isn't it? Because we do find ourselves wedged between good friends, better enemies, and next in your house review, in your house, beware of dog. And we would be remiss, would we not, if we didn't cover on this podcast the farewells, the time to say goodbye by Andrea Bocelli for 5 wrestlers, only 4 in New York on May 19th, 1996, but 5 wrestlers that have been either those we've loved or those we've loved to hate since pretty much In Your House 1 onwards. This is it forever, as it would turn out, for the Kliq. R.I.P. in peace.
Yeah, it's weird as well, isn't it? It doesn't feel like, and again, like, obviously memory is one thing, but like, it felt like, as we talked about in the last In Your House, it was more gradual than this. Just feel like the rug's just been pulled from all under us. At one point we were in a Kliq fed, and now we're not, and like the power has shifted. I don't know if we need to become Benno and Hamflett Great American Bash, Benno and Hamflett Road Wild. Maybe we need to switch sides as well. Maybe the Ted Turner money's too much for us to resist as well. It feels like a real changing of the guard moment, and like very much like we're in 1996 now.
Eric Bischoff holding the microphone to us and say, Benno and Hamflett, do you work for the World Wrestling Federation? And we have to go, no, we don't know.
No. Did you ever switch? I've got to ask that question, because I did, like, as a kid, like, full on. Like, as we always talk about, like, kind of go back to, like, nostalgic memories whenever we talk any of these shows. And maybe it happens later in the year, because 1996, as we're going to get into, is the year of Shawn, and, you know, that's probably my most pure fandom is Shawn's title run we're about to cover this year. But I think by the end of it, even I was jumping on the other side. I was more excited for Nitro on Fridays on TNT. I was more excited, as we've talked about many a time, and I'll always bring it up, the Cartoon Network letters jumping around at 8:55 p.m. on a Friday night. Like, that became like the thing I look forward to for like this next period. Like, even got me. But, you know, it took a while to beat it out to me. Did it ever happen to you?
Mate, you know me well enough by this point. The closest I came to switching in the first 6 years of me watching WWE was going from Brett to Steve. That was the only switch I was doing. Like, I will say, for all the years where I completely bought into the propaganda, so from pretty much the first time I started watching through to this period of time, I was completely trained to see WCW was the decided number 2. Like, the fact that whenever I would catch a bit of it or whenever I would buy the magazine, Hulk Hogan was the champion. The friggin' Boss Man and the Nasty Boys and Duggan were all kicking around. I bought in to the old folks' home long before the Huckster and Nacho Man like things aired. I was just like, yeah, that's where all the cast-offs go. Like, I don't know why you're bothering with them. We've got TL Hopper. Like, they can have the Nasty Boys and the Big Boss Man. But those Nitros, those TNT ones, into Cartoon Network, and especially, I think it was a Power Slam in the UK, the first one that put Hogan in the black gear with the beard on the cover. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I need to lean in here. Like I was just giddy to have both for a while. I remember I went, because it was before I got Sky, so I didn't really have any say in the matter. I was just, it was whatever my dad could get his mates to record for me. But I had a friend who I would go around to on a Friday night, and he would put Nitro on in the sort of let's say the late summer of 1996, and I just couldn't believe it. It was when Elizabeth was a member of the group, and she was being bullied into. Remember that dropped thread where she was just bullied into being a part of the NWO?
Oh, she's going out with Bischoff and stuff like that, and they made out in the crowd and all that stuff.
They've put on it well before even Savage joined. So that early 1996 run where you've only got 5 or 6 of them around Halloween Havoc, I think it was. And I was just they've got Elizabeth in a black NWO dress. This is like all the WWF guys are in the sort of this dangerous underbelly of pro wrestling. It really did. I was 11 or something. I was like, what have they done to all the colour? What have they done to all the neon superheroes? I couldn't not look. I was like, don't tell anybody I'm watching, but you've got to see this. You've got to see what's going on.
That's interesting because, I feel like at the Monday Night War, I kind of lived it through the magazines. A million memories kind of came flying at me when you were talking. Then, I remember showing my cousins who used to like the WWF before. Obviously, Austin would eventually bring them back in, but they weren't back in at this point. And literally showing the magazine, going, look, it's Hulk Hogan, but he's wearing black. And it was the PWI magazine, I believe I was showing them. So they only had remember they had the shift photos where he didn't have the NWO logo on. It was just Hogan in a bit of black that was probably from his 1995 run when he was just testing the waters. Exactly that one, the growly fingers. I actually recreated that photo when I went as Hollywood Hogan for a Halloween costume party, which I would not do today. But back then it seemed like it was an okay thing to do. But I distinctly remember that same thing being look, just look at this visual, look how crazy it is, look how mad it is, and I almost feel like it was having that conversation with my cousins. It was he was like, so is that all the WWF guys? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, so the WWF invading WCW. And it had genuinely just never occurred to me that was the story. I watched it I watched it happen. And obviously the initial angle when Scott Hall comes over and the angle then when the big man, Kevin Nash, stands behind him on the announce desk, burned into my brain. And at that moment, it felt a bit like, fucking hell, these have literally just stepped off WWF TV into WCW. But I didn't really think of it like the WWF were invading WCW. I knew they weren't. I knew it was just them two that had come. And I kind of vaguely understood that they were just mainly hanging around with ex-WWF guys. But WCW was full of ex-WWF guys, so I didn't really ever, in my brain, have it like that it was what they had to actually back down on, didn't they, eventually, and say, no, this isn't Diesel and Razor Ramon, no, this isn't the WWF invading. Was it just stupid Yanks who believed that was really happening? Because, to me, it was just a new cool wrestling faction with a load of wrestlers I used to like in it.
I think, there's always that, and even when you're a kid, and it's more of a subconscious thing, but there's so many points when you're younger, and you don't know it at the time, but that are going to turn you into a wrestling obsessive. Because I think it's you don't realize when you're younger how much more deeply you're thinking about this than some of your mates or some of those, as you say, idiot Yanks, or just people that just take it at face value. You were not, you were thinking more about it. You were sort of stopping and asking yourself, I saw that A&W, don't think I missed that.
That's coming later. I'm a 7-Eleven.
The idea of all of, as you say, all these old wrestlers, and it's a realization in increments, isn't it? It's there's Hogan, he's a baddie, this is weird, there's Hall and Nash, he's DiBiase, Virgil, Liz, and it's one by one and then when you've got to the post sold out period, Bossman, IRS, it just can it keeps going. It's other than Giant, and he's the first one out as well as being the first new one in. There's quite a while where it just keeps being WWF people that you're adding to it rather than I think it's Buff and Scott Norton and Bagwell, Norton, and then Scott Steiner that feel when it really becomes more of this belongs Stevie in WCW.
People like that.
Yeah. And what I love, again, we kind of touched on this at the end of Good Friends, Better Enemies, and I suppose this takes us all the way back to that infamous hug in Madison Square Garden, which we don't need to bore the listeners with the specifics of. They know what we're referring to, the curtain call, of course. But I do love that when that is taking place, a bit like Sean doing his poses at the end of Good Friends, Better Enemies. I love that where we know what's going to happen and those wrestlers don't. Like Nash and Hall might have been given a nudge off Bischoff during the negotiations that he had a big idea for them, or you don't know. You don't know what went on in those conversations.
Yeah.
But none of them can possibly be aware of like the atomic bomb. Kevin Nash says as much, doesn't he? He says, like, I needed better money. I needed the kind of contracts for the dates, and Vince couldn't offer me that. So it was a no-brainer. But no way did I think I was going to be as good as Diesel. Like, he'd lived 1995 as the lowest drawing champion, and he still had less faith in WCW to keep him as big a star. That was, at the time, Shawn and Triple H probably thought, well, we'll see you, but we'll catch you down the road because you'll be back. And it's just like, they weren't to know that they'd have to wait for like 2002 for that day to come.
I wondered whether like did they have like a no diamond stud, no Vinny Vegas clause in like the contract, or just basically keep us away from Dallas Page for a bit until eventually they'd all get back together again. Maybe there was something like that, because that's absolutely like the way it reads. And like when you like read the Observer and the Torch at this time, and it's like, Razor's less gung ho to go, Nash is more gung ho to go because it's a family thing, and he just wants to retirement home. He wants to go there, make a bit of money, whatever. What are they gonna call me? Fucking Tank instead of Diesel, or Petrol or something like that, whatever. Call me whatever you want to call me. It's fine. It's a big cash in, isn't it? And it's kind of like they're almost thinking of it as the end rather than the start of like this amazing thing that comes.
Do you have any memories of, obviously the curtain call was at House Show and it would be years before. I think my first memory of seeing the footage was when Shawn and Triple H put it on the Titantron on that Raw, and then in like the Napster and the LimeWire era, you were able to just download the clip of it yourself. But like, again, it goes back to Power Slam. I couldn't I remember thinking that I could rationalize Triple H getting in the ring and Shawn and Diesel hugging. But it was the fact that there was this sort of, the mere fact that there was going to be a consequence, that there was going to be I remember whatever the Finn Martin language would have been, say, management was said to be furious with the four, or whatever the line would have been.
100% he wrote it like that, yeah.
And it's Hunter Hearst Helmsley who can expect to receive the flack or whatever it was. And however it was fed to me, for the want of a better phrase. I remember sort of sitting with that and trying to work out but what does that mean? Like, what's the word burial wouldn't have been used, but I would have been sat there trying to process what's a punishment? How's this going to be any different for him? Like, can you remember what your thoughts were seeing it play out or living through it, or whatever?
Yeah, it's funny because I think for me, I wasn't bowing Power Slam. Like I'm trying to picture it. I'm pretty sure it would have been 97 when I started getting Power Slam. And again, that was a big moment when it was like, fuck, they're covering both companies in the same magazine. Same thing when I first started picking up PWI and The Wrestler in like 96. So I feel like, you mentioned there, like the Raw angle, that was the first thing that came to mind. Like I can literally picture it in my mind's eye, them putting it on the Tron and it being fuzzy footage from, those two blokes camcorder that the Vault, I think, uncovered not that long ago. That's what I think of when I think of when it really came into my conscience. I feel like there was again, speaking of the magazines, there was a Raw magazine, obviously Vince Russo written story on it, or maybe it was something about Hunter, or it was something about Shawn, and it went into it there. I explained a little bit more what it was, but it was much later for me when I actually found out what it was, and it was probably around the time, they were starting to use it for heat in the DX angle, and it was almost like, what the fuck are they talking about? It was like literally inside the terms on TV, and I'm the dumb kid at home going what are they on about? Why is Diesel and Razor on TV? I got going even further forward, and obviously we're going to cover it. I didn't fully believe that Diesel and Razor were when Jim Ross was threatening it, we're going to turn up on WWF TV, but there was a part of me thinking, fuck, are they just going to be on both? That's how unclued in I was. So I didn't know about any of this at the time.
I'm gonna hold my water with some takes on fake Diesel and Razor, because I look forward to getting there in our own timeline. But
you loved it.
I don't know. We're gonna have some conversations. Let's just say that. But what I will say, because obviously it's going to tie in a little bit to what we're going to be covering over the next couple of months. I think one of the reasons I probably didn't spot any massive ramifications is because for the last 30 years, Triple H has overstated them, hasn't he? We've seen some punishment booking in our time, but he doesn't suffer that much. Not really. We're not the first to dispel this myth, but let's not be the last either. Yes, he loses the King of the Ring, and the butterfly effect of that is enormous. But to be back on pay-per-view by October is not really any kind of burial, is it?
That's the bit I'm looking forward to revisiting, like, because we always joke about it on GRAPPL. It's like people remember it obviously as like, oh, that's why I lost Ultimate Warrior. It's like, no, we know that just happened. That's in the rear view. That's before all of this when that happened. Oh, that's why he had the hog pen match and he got slopped. No, again, that was months ago. Like, I think people just falsely remember that, don't they? It's a bit of a Mandela effect, because really the only consequence is the King of the Ring, and obviously we all know that's for the fucking best for everybody in the entire wrestling industry when it happens. Like, yeah, I feel like we're going to go back and we're going to watch these shows and it's just going to be like, yeah, he's actually fine. He's on just as many shows. Because that's it. Because you read some of like I read a little, just in prep for this, a little like recap of the curtain call, and there was a few little bits and pieces where it was like, yeah, Hunter was getting this gigantic push, and then it was taken off of him. It's like, was he? Like, I mean, based on what we've seen, not really. Like, he just got squashed by the Ultimate Warrior, and like, yeah, he was in like obviously the free-for-all match on the last day of the house, and yeah, he was a bit of a fixture on TV and he had a bit of a story going. But let's not overstate things either. It's not like he was doing gangbusters. He was a part of the undercard like everybody else, wasn't he? And maybe he's a lesser part of the undercard for a couple of months, but like he does come up smelling the roses at the end of it.
Maybe he was the one that leaking that he was going to get this big push and now he's going to get this big burial, and he was thinking about who was going to get sympathy from when he had no friends in the locker room. All of a sudden he was like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get the Observer readers on side or the Torch readers on side. And so, can you imagine now, like, people campaigning for a Hunter Helmsley push, like they did the Yes movement or something, like, let him out the doghouse or something. Maybe he was thinking like he had that game, that cerebral assassin head on even back then.
Maybe playing the proper game. Well, he was winning the proper politics game. He was already an early politician, wasn't he? Because one of the other things I read was that it was apparently the way he takes it on the chin is like the thing they're in, and the respect with the boys, the fucking your mate and mine, the dead man saying that, like, came in with a bit of an ego on his kind of head and was too big for his boots, and then that kind of stripped him down a peg, and we all just respected that. We took it as if he had a fucking choice. Like, they weren't letting him go to WCW.
Nah. What because I know obviously that the story's been told a million times, but they apparently got the say-so from Vince to do it, and then it was a locker room mutiny that Vince had on his hands. I think led by the British Bulldog was one of because he was about to get his latest singles run. You think he'd just shut up and be glad of his spot, wouldn't you, by 96? 100%. But like, he was tanking pay-per-views in 95. But I think because of the fact he was about to have this run with Shawn, he's probably thinking, you're killing me heat here. That wrestler brain thing, you're killing my heat, He's probably been on the phone to Brett. You're not going to believe what they're doing down here without you, Brett. And then Brett will have been like, oh, that's disgraceful, Davey. And then he's probably wound him up more. And then they're just like, you can imagine that's how these wrestlers do these things. Aye. Like, all these years removed, and we take the piss of it out of like locker room rules. But like, you've taken bumps, you've done the funny handshakes, and you've in some way sort of surrendered yourself a little bit to certain locker room rules and etiquette and respect and all that. Like, where do you stand on it? Like, where do you sit with, were they right, were they wrong, the bosses, the boys? Where do you sit with it?
I mean, firstly, like that, like wrestling locker rooms, and I'm sure it's still the same now. It's like fucking school. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, one of the biggest like early memories, like from like being I was a tag team with Dylan Roberts, Welsh wrestler. I did semi all right. He was the Shawn, I was the Marty, and he's had a cracking little career for himself since then. But like we were like set to be a tag team, and then eventually like he ended up like getting more of a push than I did. And I think I said to someone like, I'm just gutted that like I've been to training as long as he has, and they've obviously picked him over me, and just being a bit of just like normal human emotion, like not getting picked for the fucking five-a-side team. I was just like, wish I was on this show, only to have like again that game of telephone with wrestling, like 4 people along the line. Somebody comes over and he goes, hey, I've heard you and Dylan Roberts have got heat. And I'm like, we've got heat? Like, it's like, could we not just talk in why are we not able to talk in normal people terms anymore? Like, I'm slightly miffed that I'm not on the show. We're maybe even we're a little bit mad at each other, or we've had a falling out. No, we've got heat. And it was almost like people use that language even at that lower level to make it feel like they're properly part of the business when they're not. And it was like, oh, that's what this is like. That's how childish this entire world kind of is. And like, that's it. Imagine that ballooned up. Plus, add all the somas and the steroids and the whatever else is going on, and all of the money, obviously, in the much, much, much grander stage, even in 1995, 1996, that's going on. It's like, yeah, I think it's more that, and it's more jealousy, and it's more just, making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, I mean, maybe it's the fact that it's the time that's gone since, and it's one of those things where it's like trying to explain to a kid, isn't it? Now, like, why was Montreal so important? Like, Brett didn't want to lose a match. Like, why didn't he want to lose a match? Why does that matter? Things like that have kind of been lost in translation in the years since, and it is hard to explain to them. They broke kayfabe a little bit, and the baby faces and the heels, raised each other's hands at the end of the match and had that handshake, and it's like, what, like all of the matches in Ring of Honor in 2005, 2006, and 2007, or basically all of the matches in AEW, depending on the feud. Like it's a relatively common thing now. So maybe because of the length of time, it doesn't feel as like bad a crime as it was. And like you say, when you list the people who were mad at it, it's like Davey, fuck off. Undertaker, fuck off. Jim Cornette is like one of the most vocal about it, isn't it? It's like, Jim, you've spent the 30 years since doing the most shoot interviews any human being has possibly ever done. If anybody exposed the business, mate, it's fucking you. It's not these wrestlers and this curtain call that happened in this one place. It was MSG, but still. So yeah, obviously it was overblown, but I suppose it was out of the norm at the time, wasn't it? And it was unusual, and you can even see it. I rewatched the clip today, with the guy cheering in the background, which I think he's a bit embarrassed about years later. Like, people are into it, and people know it's not a thing that they're supposed to see. But I feel like something like that happens at most house shows now, doesn't it? Really, the cameras aren't on, the wrestlers have a bit of a hug, and it is all a little bit, non-canon.
Yeah, as much as I'm like loath to, because we love the Kliq as opposed to the BSK, but even then, even in loving them, we can acknowledge that they were so up their own arse sometimes that like they were just sniffing their own farts more than they were kind of really thinking about the business as much as they said they would. But I think that video evidence supports their argument that it was popular in the building, and it meant that the fans were in front of where wrestling traditionalists were, and the Kliq were a little bit in front of where wrestling traditionalists were. And I think them having the confidence to do it, and like, this hug, we're not patronizing the fans here. Like, they're going to know, plenty of them will know we're mates, and even if they don't, they'll think, oh, that was a cool moment. Like, that was how was the wrestling tonight? Well, it was dead weird because like Diesel, Shawn, Razor, and Hunter hugged. Oh, why? I don't know, but it was pretty cool. Like, at bare minimum, what's that? If anything, they're going to come back the next month because they found that a bit strange and they found that a bit odd, I think now, if you were going to try and do a frigging Montreal screw job, you'd have to screw the winner, because you'd have like Hangman Page and Will Ospreay being like, "That's screw me, don't screw him, screw me." Like, it'd work backwards. Like, I'm with you. Like, you have to apply the context of the time. You always do. Of course, stories, obviously, and I think that's something a lot of people might choose not to do. And I don't think it helped that Shawn Michaels in particular was like such a political pariah, because I think for those that already hated him, that was just fuel to the fire, wasn't it? It was like, well, I already thought he was unprofessional and difficult, and he was willing to like imagine, just as a argument's sake, the prior November, right? Dean Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow are leaving the company at the same time, chased out by the Kliq. Imagine them abandoning characters at a house show match to hug and say goodbye to the fans. What the Kliq would say, or what they would feed out to the sheets about that. Like, it wouldn't be the same, would it?
No, it's one rule for one and another for another. Like, it's the CM Punk logic, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's just how like Phil Brooks lives his life, When he does it, it's fine. When everybody else does it, it's not fine. Look forward to the Saudi Royal Rumble in January. Anywho, I think that's like the two-pronged part of it. It's like, because obviously Nash and Hall are leaving, and that's why Hunter gets more of the grief, and Shawn basically gets none because he's world champion. But it's also the open door for everyone to kick off, because there's less consequence, isn't there? It's only really Shawn that's left who can give them grief. It's not like Nash and Hall can get Vince's ear and get them they end up being the ones in trouble for the one like telling the teacher on somebody, and then you end up getting in trouble for telling tales. Like, that doesn't happen because the power has switched. But at the same time, I think that's the thing that makes it not really that bad. They're leaving anyway. It's not like there is more money on the table. It's not like you've just killed, the next 6 months of TV where it was going to be, Razor on the heel side versus Shawn as a babyface, or it was going to be, Diesel doing another, tour of house shows with Shawn. We're way past that point, at this point. So like, they're gone. There's no consequence to like the ongoing stories. The kayfabe being broken doesn't really matter. It is a literal curtain call. It's just like, that was nice. Goodbye, lads. We'll see you again soon down the road.
I never really thought about it like that. Yeah, they didn't make it part of every day on the house show tour. Like, they could have done that, couldn't they? Could have, like, something like a kind of a Last of McGuinness type thing, where every night is a farewell night, just in a different town. Like if they were real wild egomaniacs, they could have wanted to do, well, I might never work this town again, so I want to do the goodbye here and do the goodbye there. And they never, it was the proper last night, wasn't it? You know, there wasn't some secret house show for them that Razor and Diesel worked. They were doing it on the right night to do it, I suppose.
Exactly.
Well, before we preview In Your House, Beware of Dog, which in itself is much like this, going to be fraught with technical problems, I should probably do what I would normally do at this point in Housekeeping and say, if you would like to leave us a 5-star review, and I appreciate of all the episodes, it's a bit cheeky to ask, but if you would like to leave us a 5-star review, we would love to reward your loyalty to this podcast by giving you a match in return. The 5-star match review is something that me and Benno have done on every podcast so far, where we will review anything from the new generation that is outside of the In Your Houses, whether it was like one of the Raw or Superstars matches in between, or something near to one of those shows, or maybe something near one of the main eventers. It could feature CM Punk. It could be something from any era. But if you leave us a 5-star review with that request in the notes, we will cover it on one of these editions of Housekeeping. However, on this special occasion, we've sort of decided to do it a little bit differently, I guess. And I think in the spirit, I guess, of Beware of Dog coming up, we'll break now. And then we'll come back in with something that me and Benno have sort of danced around the title on. I think we landed on travel cunts at one point, but we're basically going to talk a little bit about where we've been since we last sat down to talk, because it was, about 2 months? And the world literally outside our window has changed ever since. And it has been a little while, Benno, since we sat down together to record an additional Housekeeping, months, in fact. Because we've not been taking care of our houses. Far from it, in fact. We've been, I will say this. We had our first ever real-life Benno and Hamflett of sorts, because you kind of showed me around what would become your home away from home. We did a WhatCulture live show, which at the time, all the way back in the dim and distant past, I think we were promoting on this podcast. That's one of our live shows on the first ever, and maybe the last, looking at the balance sheets, WhatCulture World Tour. But our, one of our nights went through Belfast when yourself and Stephanie Chase both happened to be in attendance, which was great to have you along for the show. And it was a day gig because we were working alongside Sweet Chin Disco, which for those that don't know is a wrestling-themed club night, or in this case, a wrestling-themed club afternoon. And as the adults in the room that we are now, as you have now sort of pointed out, we are kind of all in our 40s. But we did the show. We kind of saw everybody after the fact, took pictures and sold some merch and stuff like that. And then everybody gradually filed out, and you and Steph stuck around, and we stood in the bar and we were just having the crack. It was a really nice time, a good chat. And to our immediate left, you would think it was 3 a.m. in the centre of town, because the Sweet Chin Disco hype train rolled through Belfast, and everybody was absolutely hammered. You gave us a great night in Belfast, a fantastic night. But my first memory is of just how insane it went for about 4 p.m.
Honestly, that's I said that's up to you guys. It was especially to Sid, who was kind of thinking the same thing as me. Where did these people come from? It was all these people who were just so fucking excited to see Mark Henry on a Saturday afternoon in Belfast. And it was I spent a lot of time in Belfast. Obviously, I'm obviously over there a lot with Steph, and we see the odd wrestling t-shirt, and it's notable when you see it. Oh, look, there's another wrestling fan. In the wild, isn't that crazy? You see more of it, I feel these days than you did, at least when I was growing up. But it's still notable when you see it. And it was all these fucking wrestling fans came. I was where were you people? Where were you? Whenever I've gone to a show when I've been over there, or where were you? Just in general life when I was growing up. I feel like that in Liverpool a lot of the time. When I met Matty and when I met Gareth and a few of the others. Where were you all hiding when I was the only wrestling fan in 1996 in my local area? It was absolutely wild, but it was so your live show was fucking brilliant. It was so good to be there and get to see it. It was a weird coincidence, because obviously I was on the way out to Asia. Thought I was only going to be in Belfast for a weekend, or maybe a little bit longer than a weekend. It was about a 7-day stretch, turned into a month past that. But the window was perfect, wasn't it? I was wait, hang on, you're going over to Belfast on a boat, I'm going over to Belfast on a boat. It almost came to a point where I think we were both going to be on the same boat.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
unfortunately, that didn't work out. Instead, I took a flight and almost lost all my bags, but more on that in a minute probably. But yeah, just unbelievable, the way the world can bring us together.
It was lovely. It was really nice, and yeah, we sort of so it was like, it wasn't just myself. Obviously, it was the whole WhatCulture team, and the 2 years we had. Ended up it went late, didn't it? I think we definitely reached amazing. The takeaway. We definitely reached the takeaway hours. I definitely recall the 2 a.m. burger chats, like vaguely. I can't tell you what the content of those chats were, but I remember them happening.
It was a good night. No, it genuinely was, because like I joked about last time, me and Adam Nicholas became best friends. No offense, mate, but it's going to be Benno and Nicholas is coming soon into a podcast feed near you, and we'll just exclusively talk about Lost in the Translation and the soundtrack among the other things we discovered we had in common, like from mid 2000s lore. But yeah, like brilliant night, and obviously I remember like at some point I think there was a point where like obviously we went to like the Boss Craft Brewery, the one good craft brewery, I would probably say, in Belfast, out of office. It's called. It's above like a Belfast Sports Club. I think it's the Ulster Sports Club, which is a little bit moody and scary. Although I think you preferred it because it had nice red neon lights. So I think you were into that. It was shiny. It was a bit fed, wasn't it? It was a bit more. Bit more AEW upstairs, which I think is what I was thinking. Like I could imagine a Sidge like in a nice pale ale. So like obviously, us and Phil and Steph were kind of up there. And I just remember, there being a point in the night where Sidge was just like, "I've had enough. I'm going home." I was all thinking, it's not that late. And then looking at our clock, going, "Fuck, we're all in our 30s at that point /40s." I look, go, "Fuck, actually, it is like 1 or 2 in the morning, whatever time it is. We better go to a takeaway." And I remember, like, we ended up having like the cheapest, crappiest like chips and curry and a burger from Belfast, the proper way to end the night. And I think you marched off to bed at that point, and it was a good night had by all.
Well, we were getting excited about our respective flights, weren't we? Because you were going to be going away first. Like, obviously, I was very excited about the impending trip to Vegas. More on that in a second. But like, you were going to surely get to your destination before us, weren't you, Benno? Until a natural disaster that wasn't earthquake or typhoon took place and derailed your plans.
It's so funny as well, because obviously we're this far in, we've broken kayfabe a few times. A few of those last Benno and Hamfletts were ones that were in the can, and we were proud of ourselves. Remember, we were getting it all in ahead, and we were recording every couple of weeks, and doing double recordings and stuff like that, just to make sure you lovely people had an episode in your feeds every 2 weeks. And it was all because I was obviously doing this big trip out to Asia. I was supposed to be leaving that last week. Turned out I had another month in Belfast where we probably could have blocked. Maybe we did. Maybe we're kayfabe you on. We block recorded season 2 of Benno and Hamflett, and we already know what happens at the end of the Attitude Era. But it turned out like obviously there was a big fucking earthquake in Bangkok, which I know you're well aware of, with your brother being out here as well. And it ended up getting me not stranded in Belfast, but it ended up making sense to stay in Belfast a few more weeks. So I got a few more weeks of going to Bob and Bert's, which was a recommendation I gave you.
Loved it.
Breakfast place, having a lovely sausage butties and such like that. So sausages are better in Belfast, Ireland in general. Don't know why. It's just a thing. Steph tells me, and I actually subscribe to it. So it wasn't the worst place to be stuck for a few weeks.
Well, it was obviously, as a result, it was at least nice for you, I suppose, that like the two of you got to be able to watch WrestleMania together, didn't you?
Exactly.
It sort of affords me a segue, I guess, doesn't it? Because so did we, as it turns out.
Well, we did just watch it on our own, mate. We got a video call at one point, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Indeed, we did. As for those that listen that maybe don't overlap with WhatCulture, we were doing the last day of our WhatCulture World Tour in Las Vegas. Anything was indeed possible in the Pyramid, and stay tuned to find out over the next few months if some more things might be possible. That's all I can say for now, but I think I was the only person who's actually happy about the New Orleans change when that news dropped. But the Vegas trip, thank you if you are, and I did meet several of you. If you're a listener to Benno and Hamflett and also listen to the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast, thank you for joining us at the HyperX Arena or at Aurora Bar or at Flanker Bar for one of, I can't believe I'm saying this, the 4 nights we ended up providing entertainment in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was going to say, I feel like Carrot Top, but why would I understate it? Because our billboard was on the same height as his. So that's all right. I had those pictures going to the family group chat just to like see it is a real job. It is like just where's your Vegas billboard or whatever, so all of those messages were getting sent, which was like just dream stuff, absolute dream stuff. And I didn't think it could get any better. But as you know firsthand, Benno did. We knew as we were having this video chat on WrestleMania Sunday, it was that this would have to make it into this edition of Housekeeping. Mostly because I've just not had an opportunity to gloat about it on any other podcasts I do. Myself, it worked out, 3 reasons I won't bore people with. It worked out that myself, Andy Murray, Simon Miller, and Phil Chambers of WhatCulture Wrestling had some free tickets that were given to us by MGM, which could have been anywhere in the building for all we knew. We are not, despite what many people think, on the payroll. So we did not get press tickets. We're not sort of, I might sound like I'm on the payroll for the Fed, but I'm not paid to comment. So we
how about AEW? No, they're paying your wages, mate. I know that's where all that money's come from.
That's how the pendulum will swing now. Now that we're back praising the booking, we'll get back on the invite list. You know, nice. We'll both be on it in no time. But we got these freebies from MGM, and we weren't sure where we were going to be sat. And then we kept getting, like I've been to fancy seats in football once or twice. I haven't had too many like posh boxes, but this is an American stadium. They do everything bigger and better and stuff. So you get taken down this corridor, and then you go up some stairs and in a lift and whatever. And you might have seen those WWE VIP experience tickets that you get, where you get like some of the best seats in the house and you get to meet a wrestler and all of that. And we're walking past them, and it's like, we're still going. And we get let in this door. And I mean, you saw it because I video called you like a giddy kid into a free bar, a free buffet, the cushioned seats with a table built into one of the arms for all the free food that you're going to eat. Amazing. What I was able to work out from the ticket prices was around a $15,000 seat on the aisle, like, but in the sort of the upper tier. So you've got the kind of the view of everything. Second, really only to those random seats they put in the stage, those like sofas that you could see on the stage. We did have the opportunity to the offer of a sofa if we wanted. I think I messaged you from the massage chair, didn't I, when I was charging my phone?
Oh, yes.
Amongst the real life richest people I've ever seen. And you could tell that they were rich is because they clearly didn't care that they were in the best seats at WrestleMania. To them, it was just a night.
Another day in first class.
Yeah, it's the people you see on first class flights that just like the kids, especially, that are just sat in those comfy chairs and do not realize how grateful they should be for that spot. There was just people sat like on their phones, just with their feet up, whatever. Like we'd kind of not dressed nice or anything, but we sort of thought, we'll put like, sort of smarter clothes on just in case we need it. We needn't have bothered. It made no difference. And as soon as I realized that I didn't need to stand on ceremony, I think I got food between every match. It was Andy Murray who realised, hang on, why are we getting pints? They've got a top shelf there. So then we were on like the cocktails. There's a picture that I didn't realise he was going to upload of me eating steak and strawberries with my gin cocktail. Amazing. Just where like, there's that Newcastle player that got memed because his smile was so wide when he celebrated a goal. And I think that was my face every time there was I couldn't believe it. I was trying to think about like how, so like I'm a Sunderland fan, you're an Everton fan. It's a good time to be both. And that's a bit like the NWO appearing on WCW actually when David Moyes brought Victor Anichebe and Stephen Pienaar to Sunderland and we got relegated. That's kind of like the NWO B team. Like there was a point where I was thinking like, is there anything better than this? And I'm not trying to say I might have lived the best day of my life, because my wife would kill me. But when I video chatted her, I was telling her, like our wedding day, the kids being born, and then it's probably this. And I think she could see in my eyes, maybe the truth was slightly different, but we're just never going to have that conversation. We're never, ever going to have that conversation. Because I don't think it's a Sunderland game. We've just won the playoffs at Wembley. I don't think that would compare. It's not even like getting posh seats at a house show in your local town. It's steak at WrestleMania. I don't know how I'm going to come down from this one, Benno. I peaked teams. That was the last wrestling event I went to in my 30s. Like, how can my 40s top it?
Anybody who's listening to this will know, like, that's that will be the exact experience for Michael Hamflett sat in those seats. But I can absolutely tell you, for any doubters, having receiving the messages last night, that night, and the photos of strawberry covered. They had strawberry on steak. They had strawberry on chocolate. I guess rich people just eat a lot of stories. Like, you were living the life. We had that covered because I literally said to you, I was like, send me every picture, because you're not an Instagram person, are you? You're not a Facebook person. And I'm like, just send me all the photos. Like, and you might think when you send them to anybody else, you're like, they're a bit sick of it. I think you said that at one point. Like, I want to send it to me mates back home, but they just be like, stop bragging, you fucking prick, and they get sick of you by the end. I was like, no, genuinely, even when you think you've sent too many, send more. I want to see fucking everything. And you were like filling me in with all of the photos of like where you were sat, and like I say, all the food and the drink and stuff like that. And I was living through you, mate. I was just like, yeah, that is exactly where Michael Hamflett should be sat for this show. It was such a fucking joyous thing.
It's like, again, I've never sat on first class on a flight or anything, but one time I got that lucky upgrade where you get like, I got upgraded to like premium economy it was, which is basically like leg room. Nice. Your regular seat, but with leg room. I slept the whole way. It was New York to England, and I slept the entire flight, and I was like, so like rich people don't fly, they just schedule in a sleep. Good for them. That's like, it's not a flight, it's a kip. And
you pay for the privilege of sleeping.
Yeah,
just to give like the juxtaposition of our stories, I did actually pay. I didn't get premium economy, but I got like, there was an upstairs bit on the flight out to Asia, but it was like 8 rows of regular economy, and then it's premium economy, and then it's first class. So you're still economy, but you're in. It was the upper deck of the plane, like a 2-decker plane, like a fucking bus. It's like the first time I was in Europe, and it was like, what? They have double-decker like trains? I thought that was just a bus thing. Turns out they do it with planes as well. And I paid the extra money for it, only for. And I'm quite a big lad myself as well. Only for a gigantic German man to end up sat next to me, and it was like we had like it was like a 2-seater at the front of the plane with this. Sorry, the back of the plane, but the front of it with this amazing extra leg room. But I hadn't really factored in it was the same thing. It was a night flight, so like once the seats went back and the lights dimmed, it was like literally sharing the world's smallest single bed with like my lovely hairy German husband. It was not the greatest experience in the end. I thought I was going to be living first class, but I wasn't. Well, maybe next time.
It was. You have those moments where you can't soak it in enough. Because I just thought, this might never happen again. I think I rang you during Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, because at least I know how to pick my spots. But I remember like I was watching it on like, they had, obviously it was a bar or whatever, so they had all these screens on. And the most middle class sentence you will ever hear me say on this podcast, then, now, forever together, is that I had to sit at one of the tables to watch Drew and Damian on a screen or through the gap, because otherwise I might have spilt my truffle pasta. Like, I don't know how another WrestleMania can. Yeah, I don't know how another WrestleMania can really compete with that, to be honest.
It's incredible. And I've got to say as well, from my point of view, like you say, you drop it in there. Michael did, in fact, video call me and Steph on WhatsApp. And I had that. The last time I had this feeling was when my mum appeared on Telly Addicts with Noel Edmonds in 1993. And I couldn't figure out how my mum was on the telly and also in the living room. And it was kind of a similar feeling in that, like, you were in my WhatsApp and I could see the video of where you were. And then on the telly, there was WrestleMania happening. And, like, presumably you were one of the many seats. I could see, like, in the expensive seats at the top. It was dead surreal. It was like WrestleMania had come to Steph's living room. Like, we were fucking made up. You called.
It was magic, man. Vegas, as I've gone on about, every excuse I can take basically is like nowhere else, and I am in favour of WWE basically making WrestleMania a residency there. And we will look.
You were the first name I thought of, and I thought most people thought of when it was like, what, the Fed's going back to it? Like, can there be there isn't a more Fed place, is there? Like, the neon, it's all of it. It's fucking. I don't know if it's a match made in heaven or a match made in hell. Maybe me and Sid agree on the hell side of it. But as far as like for the folks like you and Matty, like, that's where it should be. It's even got me thinking. Like, obviously, that was the first thing you said as well when my flight ended up getting cancelled and I couldn't make it to Thailand because of the earthquake situation. Like, so that means maybe you could come to Vegas, right? I was like,
that's it.
Probably a bit short notice, Michael. Now I've got a year to plan, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll be there next April.
Well, look, indeed, I can't promise anything now, but on behalf of, like, well, again, from all of us at WhatCulture, but thank you if you did come along to any of our shows in Vegas. And if you had a good time, I can't say much more than that, but I would like to say we want to do it all over again. And so, I mean, put it like this: as soon as the gossip even dropped, let alone any kind of official confirmation, some emails were getting sent between people about round 2. So we're certainly putting the begs out there. So I might as well do it on here as well. And
I was going to say, like, I genuinely know nothing, but like, I don't know what the lay of the land is there, or whether it's how far it's getting in considerations. But I think it wouldn't be giving anything away. I think most of our audience would know, even if everybody else in the WhatCulture office was like, "Fuck that, I'm not going to Vegas again." You'll be pushing it, you'll be politicking, you'll be making sure that happens. I believe in Michael Hamflett.
I've 100%. I've tried to manifest it by promising I'll get a Luxor tattoo if we get over there again. I am prepared to donate ink to my body permanently if it gets us a second bite of the Vegas apple. I need one more go of it. You always need one more go. Perfect. That's the thing with Las Vegas, isn't it? You always leave a little something behind for next time. So,
100%.
And I think I'm not going to go any further into like the endless travel that followed. You can listen to Phil and Fed's excellent adventure. That's on the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast feed. Oh, thank you. We went. I'm trying to remember the order now. It was Salt Lake City, Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, I'm forgetting one, San Francisco, and there was all sorts of random adventures we got up to there. And then I came home back to the stinking UK just in time for you to be finally jetting off, Benno. So we've traded class experiences, because right as I'm landing, right as the wheels are coming down on the grey UK tarmac, I'm thinking, I'm going to get caught back up on my podcast. I'm going to see what's going on. And I'm basically hearing you replicate my steak and strawberry stories for like 26 pence. And nothing's been the same ever since.
That's the thing. It's like I think there was maybe a bit of a crossover where like maybe I was out here and you were there, and you were out there, and we were both living the 7-Eleven dream. But that's been pretty much like my story. So yeah, obviously for people who don't know, like I planned on basically I've taken a career break. I've got lucky enough to be able to do it. Got a bit of savings in the bank, and in a point in life where I can. So I've taken a bit of a year out to come and travel and do the stuff I didn't do in my 20s. I want to do it now. It's not a midlife crisis. It's still good. But I'm having a cracking time out here, and it's obviously been planned within an inch of its life. But yeah, half the reason I wanted to come to Bangkok, which is where I'm at for the next week or so, and that's still again the benefit of doing these housekeepings around the time of the release. Again, it is the truth. I am still here until next week. Also, weirdly, exactly is it 29 years since the curtain call? I think that anniversary worked out quite perfectly as well. That was May, wasn't it? All the way back in 1996. So we're in a bit more sync than we've been in the past. But yeah, I'm here for another week or so, and then I'm off to Vietnam, and then who knows? Probably going to Japan. Probably going to go to the G1 finals. I think if I can make that work, might even see a road couple of people out here as well. But yeah, absolutely fucking loving it. Like it is just like it's cheap. I was one of those people who, like, in getting prep for it, all I did was watch YouTube videos of, like, you can live in Bangkok for £3 a day, and like buying into all of that propaganda. And it turns out you absolutely can, especially if you're like me and you just go to fucking 7-Eleven all the time and get all your waters and your root beers. Like literally, that was I think 30p. I think was my A&W root beer, which like try and get that in like an American themed food place in the UK. You're probably spending like £3 just for that, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, all the street coffees, all the street food. I've been having some of my American stuff as well, which I'm sure we can talk about as well. I was trying to live up to your lofty example, but the truth is really, I just came out here for the 7-Elevens, and it's been a beautiful thing so far.
Oh, it's been amazing to see play out as well. I get there every time I see the Benno notification drop up. I'm thinking, like, this cannot miss. I don't care if it's good news. I don't care if it's bad news. If it's weather, if it's food, if it's frigging dragons in the parks that basically advise me to stay out of them when I get to visit Thailand in the summer. Like it's the one thing I'm having to pretend isn't happening, because as you mentioned, like my brother lives over there. We're taking our first ever family holiday since he's moved there, and I have to pretend there aren't animals that can drag my children away, because if they try, I've got to fight those animals or send my wife into battle to do it, and they scare the shit out of me. Like,
there was literally a news story in the Bangkok Post. Not to scare you, but you know the way like it's like people go, yeah, a snake came out of a toilet once. No, a snake actually came out of someone's toilet. I haven't seen that while I've been here. I've seen the odd little insect and stuff like that. You realise to be wary of such things. A few street dogs, a few street cats that are a lot nicer. The dragons in the park were actually really friendly. They're really slow, so they can't really they can't.
So wind it back, Benno, wind it back. I didn't freeze like on the stream there. That was my actual face. Street dogs.
Yeah, the street dogs. Yeah, they call them soy dogs. It's a nice thing, mate. Just imagine. Remember in the 90s, and you go around to your nan and granddad's house. Like my nan and granddad had a dog called Bobby, and they just let him out. Right. It was like having a cat. They just went, Bobby's going out for a walk, and they'd open the front door, and he'd just go for a walk around the block. It's kind of like that, to be honest. They're as interested in you as you are in them. They don't pay you much mind. Cats are a lot friendlier though. You'll be okay. But it's amazing. Like it's ridiculously hot here. It's allowing me to do more of me podcast stuff genuinely. Like I was worried about that when I came out, that people would think, oh, he's jacking that in as well for a year. No, more podcasts. If I haven't announced it yet, more stuff coming over on GRAPPL will be happening. More Benno and Hamflett, more little guest spots, and then obviously we're both got coming up and stuff like that as well. And yeah, other than, I guess tonight's not a great example of it. We're technically on both our ends, but the internet generally has been 10 times better here than it even is at home. I'm like having no problems, no lag, nothing like that. So might just live here forever now. I think if you come in August, I might convince you to stay as well.
I suppose like I could be worried about street dogs or dragons and the like, but like a little treat if you do go back and listen to mine and Phil's podcast. We were in San Francisco when we saw a coyote walk in a shop. So like if I've survived that, then I guess I can manage a street dog or two from the other side of the road or something.
You'll be all right. You'll live. It's crazy, but yeah, like I say, that's the main thing. And I've had a couple of I've had the Bangkok belly already. That has happened after being here 6 weeks now. It was always inevitable, and I think it was American food that did it. I went to a lovely, that was one of the photos I sent you. A lovely burger in a proper American place, owned by a proper American as well. I was in there, I was messaging you, and like this like massive British family came in, and I was taking up a whole table, and they had nowhere to sit. So I was like, I'll move to the bar, mate, and I let them sit at my table, and they offered to buy me a drink. I refused. I was too polite. I should have just taken the drink, or should I? Because then all of a sudden this gigantic American bloke just bounces over and goes, "Saw what you did there. That was a really gentlemanly thing. Your beers are on the house for the rest of the night," and I got fucking trolleyed. So maybe that's the reason I've had a bit of a Bangkok belly. Also had some ropey chicken wings today as well. But I was just trying to live in tribute to you, mate, and all those parts. What's your feeling on chicken wings? I want to say, well, we've got a bit of time. What's your you're not a sauce guy, are you? You're a dry man. You're a dry rub. You're a lemon pepper kind of guy. What you do when you're in a sports? Say for example, you were in Bret Hart's sports bar, and you happened to be sat at the bar and you were ordering some food. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you do? What would your chicken wing order be?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, Benno, because I wouldn't get the cross-faced chicken wings. I would probably get a demon fin burger or something like that.
That's fucking brilliant.
But I can't remember if I sent you the picture of the menu that I took, because I might have been a bit
I don't think so. That's if I did, superb. I'll send you that. But yeah. Oh my God, that's popped me so big.
Yeah. Hitman's Bar, man. There will be stories from Hitman's Bar that will leak out across the remainder of this podcast, and I'll keep my powder dry in the meantime because I've noticed we're on a bit of a clock. But there will be another day for Hitman's Bar stories, I promise you. But let's get to the serious business of wing talk. So there's two things here. I would be a dry rub guy, as you said. I don't like. I'm trying as a 40-year-old. Before I'm 41, I'm going to try and force myself to like mayonnaise, because I'm sick of being like ostracized by the meal deal community, because every sandwich has mayonnaise in, or like a variant of mayonnaise. And I feel like that's my gateway to condiments. If I can crack mayonnaise, I think I've basically got like an aversion to vinegar, and the damage that does in the condiment world is brutal. But like, so as a result, like I don't really like barbecue sauce, especially. Shit. And this is where like I can feel Sidgwick's face curling up at me across the podcast desks. I don't like, I'm not really like very tactile with my food. So I don't love like sticky food or stuff that makes a bit of a mess. I don't like the sort of, the texture of it. I'll eat Like I'll have chicken tendies, or I'll have like nugs where it's like it's just dry and it goes in and it leaves nothing behind and it's boneless. I cannot be arsed with
boneless
chicken,
is better.
like,
I agree with that. Boneless is better.
Yeah.
Controversial, but I'd go boneless anytime.
Like I've seen those documentaries where it looks like pink milkshake being filtered through a Play-Doh fun factory, and they make me hungry. I don't care. Like you can judge me all you want, but like, and I know it's fake a chicken, but I like wings and just in general, like stuff that are going to leave like residue on the hands. I feel off. So I generally, if I go to a wing place, I'll be looking for like a burger option or something like that.
It tends to be a very, for me, it's like, I feel like if I'm in an American bar, and I do the same in Canada, I was just treating it like I was in America when I was there, because it's, Toronto. It's kind of Canada, but every person from Toronto goes there. It's not really Canada, so it doesn't feel like actual Canada. It does feel like you're in some rando state in America. You got the proper Canadian experience, I reckon. But anytime we went in a sports bar, I'm not even sure I like wings. I was just getting wings, because it was like, well, I'm in a sports bar. I got some wings and a beer. I'm going to be an American man. I'm going to sit at the bar and watch some sports. Like, that's exactly what I do. I ended up turning into a bit of a critic on it. I was doing a tour of Toronto, trying all the different chicken wing places. Which, again, like I say, I've had 2 lots in Thailand and not been up to snuff. Not been up to my stuff. You need the proper Frank's. The die-hard wings people know what I'm talking. You need the proper Frank's Red Hot sauce, and then if you don't have it, it's not the same. Hooters are the same. They don't have proper Frank's wings either. Never been a fan. But I agree with you. Boneless is better.
Mate, I would eat a plate of wings doused in any sauce you wanted if there was a way to teleport me to one of those bars you just described with the screen with the sport on. I'm missing the basketball and like this accidental thing where I didn't really realize this when I got back. You always have a bit of jet lag, or you always have a bit of post-holiday blues, or whatever it is. I think one of my problems might have just been the biggest hangover of my life, because me and Phil sort of accidentally ended up being like a 5-pint a night drinkers for 3 weeks straight, because we got so into the basketball playoffs that like we could be in any of the cities we visited, and then suddenly the travel would stop. And it'd be like, right, what bar's going to have the game on? Where are we going to go? There's a seat. There's 2 seats at the bar. 3 when we met Adam Nicholas in Canada. And it was just like, my God, they just do it better. Like playoff season where they make such an event out of it, and where you can pick teams and you can sit at the bar and you can put your finger up and wave politely to get yourself another round, and you feel like the king of the pub. And they've got your card in that little thing behind the counter for your tab.
Yes,
and you just
having a tab. It's so cool.
I'm the king of everything apparently, and that means you end up drinking more because you're just like, yeah, stick it on the slate, and then you settle up at the end with
it's not real money at that point, is it?
Nah. Like I had 4 poutines in one day as part of a bet with Nicholas and Phil, and they spent $100 on Calgary Hitman merch. But I realised how I'd screwed myself, because it was $100 Canadian. I should have at least made them double the stakes. Like I lost out there. But I just poutine in the pubs at the bar. Just forget about it.
Poutine looks like, because you've got some like. People would say stranger eating habits, but like I wouldn't say it, because I'm a man who doesn't eat cheese. So like I've got the stranger, because someone who loves American stuff as well. I like poutine though, and it's hard to explain it, but it looks like the tastiest thing I don't eat. It looks like something I'd really like here if I liked it, if that makes any sense at all. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it looks like something I'd enjoy and I'd be banging too, but I'm glad you got it. My body's worth on it. I didn't realise that. I think I listened to, maybe I missed an episode from your podcast. I didn't realise Nicholas had separated, then you all triumvirated and met up again.
Yeah, his dad lives in Calgary, so he went off to Calgary while me and Phil, and then we sort of met him back in Vancouver, and we had a couple of days walking around like Vancouver and Calgary.
Sorry for the video viewers.
Right, so we had like a last city meetup, I guess, in Vancouver and Calgary.
Oh, amazing.
Met Adam Nicholas, senior, and did in Brett's bar. You can do this thing called the title shots, where they put 3 shot glasses in Brett's WCW World title, right? And then you have to hold it together to drink the shots. So there was 4 of us, so we split it into 2 belts, and we did dads and lads. So Phil and Nicholas did the belt together, and me and Nicholas's dad did shots out of a WCW World title in Hitman's bar in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It was
nice. Does life get better than that? Oh, that's amazing. Are we going to a bit of time? Any other highlights from Brett's bar, or from the wrestling elements of that party at all?
So Calgary was obviously a very
more important than the Beware of Dog preview.
Yeah, it was a me place, to say the least. Phil was game to just do whatever. So off we went in the Uber to Hart House, which was too emotional for me, genuinely. Like, stood outside Hart House. The signage is still up, where you can, we've all seen it from Wrestling with Shadows and the like.
That must have been surreal.
It's just, oh my God, it's a house on a hill, but it's the house, right? It felt like I was ticking something off. It felt like I'm not a religious person, so it felt like going to sort of see a famous church or a famous religious building or something like that. It was just sort of stood and stared for a bit, took some pictures, took it all in. That was amazing. And the weather was gorgeous, so it was had a little bit of a stroll back. You can tell it's in this area that didn't used to be quite as built up. So it's like way high up with a gorgeous view of Calgary. And you can understand why the Hearts would have felt like the kings of the city, like the royal family of the city, because you're just looking down on this landscape. We went right past the Calgary skyline that you see Brett running along when he's training for the Ironman match.
That's so cool,
we're in the car from the airport, and I can see it straight away. And it was Nicholas's folks that were driving us there. Oh, do you want us to stop? And I was like, oh, no, it's just I'm a wrestling fanatic, and this path, bizarrely, means a bit of something from a bit of wrestling lore and all that. And we met. I'll not give all the game away, but we met a lad called a wrestler that you might have seen work actually. I'd seen him at least once before, called Mo Jabari, and he's a Canadian-based indie wrestler. And he's quite a close friend, associate of the Hart family. He's done some training with them, and he just had a load of Brett stories. It turned out we'd missed Brett in his own bar by 3 hours because he was filming a WWE documentary that day. And we were all sort of sat around the table a bit, and one of the lads said, pointing at me, saying, he's like the biggest Brett fan. And Mo just gets his phone out and was like, I'll give him a call. And he just goes into his phone and he goes to video chat Brett the Hitman Hart, and it rings and it rings and it rings. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure I want him to answer. I'm not ready for
I know that feeling.
I'm 4 or 5 pints deep and I'm going to get this wrong. But it's ringing, and it rings out, and he texts him and he says, if you pick up this text, 'cause I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock at night by this point, if you get this message, I'm just trying to get a hold of you. There's a fan that would love to say hello. And he doesn't get, as it turns out, he doesn't get the message back until the next day from Brett.
Devastating.
So the video chat never happens, but I did get a couple of little tidbits. We were just chatting as you do. Brett's great at this. I saw in real life the blade that he bladed Steve Austin with at WrestleMania 13. The little piece of tape wrapped around the razor blade because it's in a frame that Austin got him, and Brett hangs it in the bar. I'll send you the picture. It's incredible. And he was just telling us some stories of a few times when Brett has engaged with WWE. And he told this one story of Clash at the Castle. You remember Brett was ringside for it because there was very much it's all this time since Wembley.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he wasn't super high on Gunther Sheamus because he's not a chop guy, is he? He's not a real contact guy.
He never was he? He talks about it in his book, yeah.
But Drew, I think it went that Drew had gone to Roman. Look, Brett's here, and it's 30 years since SummerSlam. Why don't we get him to help agent the match? And Roman was like, yeah, it's a great idea. So that fantastic, super dramatic Drew and Roman match was in part agented by Bret Hart. And you're yeah, and I have no reason to not believe this story. And he was telling us a few little other tidbits like that. He said Bret always talks about the two guys. If he could work anyone, it would have been Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio. And he has this thing in his head where he says there's got to be a point where AI technology can get to a point between AI and the video games that they could have me and Kurt or me and Rey sit down and talk through the match we would have had, and then they can replicate it on the screen, and we can not tell the fans. We could not tell the fans how it's going to go, and then people could watch it and they could know that it's playing out exactly as me and Kurt or me and Ray would have structured it, and they can enjoy it on screen. And I'm thinking,
everyone's terrified of AI. That's the future we want.
And it's hang on, as Bret Hart, of course, just come up with the most excellent execution of AI. I think he has. Of course, he has.
He has. He's nailed it.
That's how you're going to do fantasy book. That's how you're going to do fantasy warfare in the future. The wrestlers themselves that are still alive to do it, putting a match together, and then us getting to see how it would have been. He's right, isn't he? That's the way.
Totally. It's like the Futurama head in a jar thing. How'd you live forever? Well, you're not the one physically taking the bumps anymore. Therefore, your career lasts forever. But you're the brains behind it. You're the one actually talking it through. You know what? That might be like the happy medium, because we are going to come to a point as a society where we go, you know what? These lads probably shouldn't be landing on the necks and heads. Surely there's a better way of doing it, and maybe we'll get there. But fuck yeah, Brett should be in charge. That's genius.
Brett's figured it out. So the video call was one of them things where, like, what would I have said in that moment?
Yeah, sure.
When I get drunk, I love you, bye, and then the screen freezes or something, and that's it. I've got it wrong. But
I just feel bad having inconvenienced him. You know what I mean? It's like, it's great for you, but you know, he's like, yeah, everyone tells me they love me. I've heard that a million times before. Yeah. Oh, you watched WWF in England in the 90s, did you? So what? Like, maybe be impressed.
Well,
could tell him on the podcast though. To be fair, could have done it.
That's true. Get him on for one of the episodes.
Beat the Retro Blaze to it.
But look, if they're gonna get Ahmed Johnson before us, we can get Brett before them, can't we? That's how that can work. But
looked amazing. What was the bar you were at? It was like a house that looked like a house. You sent me a picture of. Was that there?
That was a bar in Calgary. What was the name of it? It'll come to me. It was called like the City Hall or something like that. We were honestly, it was one of them perfect scenarios where you're looking for one last pint, and it was the last pint of the holiday. It was we don't really want to call it a night just yet, because this is it. We're flying home tomorrow. The whole thing, all the romance of all of that. And then we're Googling bars, and we've seen the name on the map, and it's kind of en route back to the hotel. So it's, one there then. And we kind of come round the corner, and it reveals itself, and it's a house. And it's like, it looks like a house from American Pie or from Scream or from something like that. And you just...
Proper.
It's like a cartoon. You know, you cannot believe what you're looking at. I'll get the name of it up on here while I can. And it's just, it is a house that, other than the toilets and the bar themselves, has been kept as a house. So there's people just in like upstairs bedrooms. There's a downstairs living room. There's a backyard area where people can go outside and smoke with like a balcony porch type deal. And it's just amazing. Like, America and Canada are the greatest places in the world, aren't they? Like they do it better. They always do this. The Civic Tavern, if people are looking for it and you're ever going to Calgary, and why would you not go and do your Brett stuff, please go to the Civic Tavern, or as I'm talking, have a Google of it, because you'll scarcely be able to believe what it looks like. It's a remarkable, remarkable place. Everything in Canada and America is just better. It always is. The second you land, you realise that that's Vegas next year. It's just a mere 11 months till WrestleMania. Yeah.
It's one of their bits, like, I could do another year in Asia next year, or I could go to Vegas for a week and spend the exact same amount of money. I'm still considering the Vegas though. I'm still like, maybe I could do it. Maybe I could go up there and get some proper wings, you know. But yeah, fucking amazing stuff.
It was incredible. But yes, before we get out of here, we should do a very, very quick preview, I suppose, of In Your House 8, Beware of Street Dogs. And I say dogs because it's, of course, the show that was infamously split into two by technical troubles. We wouldn't know anything about that, Benno.
Second half's gone a lot smoother though. First, it's gone.
There we go. Well. Which is the same for Beware of Dog, actually, because on night one of Beware of Dog, we get Mark Mero versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley, followed by jack shit, because the power and the electricity goes out just in time for us to get back to Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog. And let me tell you, mate, I cannot wait to rewatch that one, because the tantrums are flying from our fave in that one. That takes us to night two, the rearranged Beware of Dog 2, where we get the rest of the card, which was Savio Vega versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a Caribbean strap match. Vader versus Yokozuna. And strap in for this one, because you better get used to it. Goldust versus The Undertaker. The stipulation in this case will be a casket match, but they're not going to be strangers to each other in 1996. Again, Shawn is on top. Brett's on holiday. Nash and Hall are gone. But what can possibly go wrong in the World Wrestling Federation, eh, Benno?
This is quite funny, because I was just loading up there. We got a lovely spreadsheet with all the matches on, and I saw Vader and Yokozuna, and I thought, that's not a bad cage match rating, an 8.35. No, that's how long it is. The cage match rating is 4.56. Like, oh shit, still not that bad compared to what it could be, but oh man, we're in for a fun time.
Yeah, something to look forward to. But I suppose in the meantime, thank you for bearing with our technical strains today, and indeed bearing with all of our gloating about All all our incredible travels and adventures. Normal service will indeed be resumed for the next Housekeeping. This is your call out and reminder to get in your 5-star match reviews. Anything you want, myself and Benno will review it. You'll get a shout out on the podcast. Just leave us a 5-star review and a report in there. And in the meantime, I suppose you can follow us both online. I'm at Michael Hamflett. The rest of the gang are at WhatCulture WWF for our usual WhatCulture gubbins.
Yeah, for us at GRAPPL for all the grapple stuff, and at Benson Richard D on Twitter, but more importantly on Instagram, where you can see my photos of my various Thai food, plus a bit of KFC and Tim Hortons thrown in there as well. You can take the man out of Canada and America, but you can't take the Canada and America out of the man. So plenty of stuff there, and I'll welcome anyone who wants to follow me over there. I'll always chuck a follow back on Instagram too.
Absolutely, man. I feel like I'm seeing the best of those pictures even without Instagram, and it's absolutely worth a look. I promise you that. And I guess until next time, and wherever Benno is in the world at that point, thank you for the house.